Hello and welcome to The Wise Why. This morning I am joined by Sharon Smits, who grabbed my hand when I was feeling overwhelmed, nervous, and at a networking event and out of my depth. And I do mean out of my depth because when I'd gone to networking in the past, I had gone with my company head on, and this time I was going as Kirsty Vandenbach, and Sharon saved me. She grabbed me at the coffee table. She walked me beautifully over to a table of what I would call powerful women. And well, the rest of the story has just been the most amazing journey of meeting more and more women in networking and men in Oxfordshire. So thank you, Sharon, for grabbing my hand. And as usual, the show is not about me, it is about you. So please introduce yourself.
Good morning, Kirsty. Lovely to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Sharon Smits. I live in Oxfordshire, obviously, because we are Oxfordshire Women in Business. And I work for a company called Sylo Beyond HR, which is run by two of my very good friends, Sally and Sarah. And we enjoy what we do, and we enjoy networking. I enjoy networking because I love talking to people, which is obviously why I'm here today. I'm married, have two wonderful children, and I get involved a lot with the community. I'm very community focused. I love living where we live. There's a lovely community feel, and I get involved in all sorts of different things. I have lots of hats that I wear.
You do, don't you? That is something that I find really fascinating about you, because I met you at the event and you introduced yourself as Sharon. You were very understated, and I remember that because I remember thinking, oh, you're really lovely, and actually you're a really powerful woman. You're not only do you do HR, you also run a networking group. Is that right? You run it, or you're
I'm an ambassador for Tame Boars. So yeah,
you blow my mind, because I literally had no idea who you were, and yet since then I look back to a year and a bit ago, and I'm so grateful. The gratitude I have for what you did for me on that day will be with me forever. So thank you.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you so much, Kirsty. And actually, I didn't do anything special. I don't think I did anything special. I have to say that I have my father's gift for the gab, and I will talk to anybody, basically. But everybody is special, and everybody has their own story. And it's great just talking to people and finding out all about them and how either I can help them or people that I know can help them. Because I see myself not as a networker, but I'm a bit of a connector. So you talk to me and you tell me what you do, and I'll say, oh, actually, you need to speak to so-and-so. They're really good at this. Or if you want to get into that particular market, look at that particular Facebook or LinkedIn group. And I think it's great just being able to connect the right people together and make that difference. Because when people are running businesses, either on their own or a larger business, we deal mainly with SMEs. It's great to see them grow, and great to see that buzz when they see that their business is moving forward. And I love that. I think it's great.
So I love the fact that I met you at this event, and then I joined Oxlep, and I did an Oxlep course, which was absolutely invaluable. And I was speaking for Oxlep on Tuesday at one of their events, because they've given me so much. And then I walk into an Oxlep group because I've got Paul Holmes coming onto the podcast the next day. And there you are, at just the right moment in my life where I need to ask about HR. And I'd like to expand about how you help people like me with HR problems, because I was floundering. I realized that I'm looking at getting some freelancers on. I didn't want to take on somebody full time. I didn't know where to go. And again, magically, your company was there. So can you explain what you do?
My time is brilliant, obviously. Okay, so Sylo Beyond HR, which is the company I work for and have done for the past 9 years now, we are a HR consultancy. So basically what we do is small businesses who are growing and want to move on to the next step, or individuals who are just starting up their own business, like yourself, who are thinking about taking on more people because they're getting busier, their business is expanding, and we do the HR function for them. Because when you're on your own, you're not going to take on a HR person. That's the last person you need to take on. You need to take on people who are going to move your business forward, and either that's sales or individuals who help you in front of your clients. And we have a whole raft of experience and knowledge that we share with our clients, and it's very affordable. We love what we do. We've got a great team. We've got a team of almost 20 consultants and employees, and we are ourselves an SME. So we've been on that journey. Sarah and Sally started the business 13 years ago. It was just the two of them going out and seeing clients. When I joined them, they had a couple of consultants and a trainer, but they were out and they needed somebody in the office who knew what they were talking about when they answered the phone, and also was apparently really well organised, which at the time I had, it was really funny. Sarah interviewed me on a park bench. Okay, that sounds a bit dodgy, but our children were actually playing in the park at the time. And we knew each other, our children are the same age. So we knew each other from school, and she knew that I was PTA chair because I wasn't working at the time, because I'd been in the fortunate position that I could take a couple of years off while the kids were younger. And she said, "Hey, you're really organised, aren't you? You're PTA chair. I've heard you've got a HR background. Are you looking to do some hours? Are you looking to get back in the marketplace?" And I said, "Actually, yeah, I am. I'm sort of looking to see what's around there." And she says, "We need some help. Can you come and do a couple of hours a day in the office, answer the phone, that sort of thing?" And I said, "Actually, yeah, that'd be really good, because it'll get me back in the workplace." Little did I know that it was going to be a huge learning curve for me. So I took on their website, I took on their social media, because nobody had been doing it. And literally it was a very steep learning curve. And yeah, my skill set has grown exponentially. It really has. And then obviously, oh, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I love the way that you actually have been on that learning curve, because people forget that when you set up a business, it's not about a website, and it's not about social media. It's not about HR. It's about the whole wrap around, and that coupled with the loneliness and overwhelm and all the other bits, and trying to find somebody who understands where you are. And that is incredible that you've done all of that.
Yeah. And it embodies what we are as a company. So we are very much into the partnership with the client, and we find out about how they run their business, what their business is all about, where they want their business to go, and then put in steps to help them get there and beyond, because we do the whole package, everything from, I call them the R's. So it's everything from recruitment through to retirement, redundancy and resignation. So it's like that whole employee journey, I suppose, and everything in between. So training and strategy, and it's brilliant. I love working with clients. I really do. It's great building that relationship. And I get out and about and talk to people, especially now, face to face. Wow, what's all that about?
I know. What was it like? Because there is this big thing about suddenly going from being a stay-at-home mum, because you're in a privileged position. You know, I could have done that. I got really, really bored, and I found I lost my identity, and actually I need to work. Something I discovered when I was on out of work whilst my daughter was really young. I found that I needed to work for my own identity. What was it like going back to work?
That period of my life was a bit different to other people. So I had my daughter and went back to work when she was 6 months old. My mother-in-law looked after her for about a year. So she was about 18 months. And me and my husband knew that we were going to go back to Norway. We'll come to that in a second.
Yeah, I want to capture you.
Going to go back to Norway. So I knew that, and that was both myself and my husband working for the same company. That's why. And then we went to Norway. We planned to come back with 2 children, or we hoped we were going to come back with 2 children. Little did I know that I fell pregnant the first week we were there. Norwegian television is really, really awful, believe me. And then because I was working out there, I needed to complete my contract, which was about 2.5 years long. So when Luke was 7 months old, I went back to work. So I was in Norway that entire time. My daughter was at Norwegian nursery, which was amazing. When my son joined the nursery, he was the youngest child in the nursery, because their maternity leave is amazing. They get full pay for 10 months or 80% for 12 months. So they never had a child that was under 10 months old. So not only had they seen him every day when I dropped my daughter off, but also they had him they got to look after him full time at 7 months old, which was brilliant. I knew that they were enjoying themselves in a safe space, and the nursery was amazing. I'm still in touch with some of the girls who worked there, and I went back to work to finish the project. So they were there. My son was in the nursery for about a year. So his first word was brod, which is Norwegian for bread, not mom or dad or anything like that. He needed his food. He loves his food. So when we came back from Norway, where the head office is of our company, it's like an hour's drive away. And they were doing a 4.5 day week. So it was difficult for me to get childcare from 7 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So we'd already planned that I would take a couple of years off. So at this point, my daughter had just started full-time nursery at the primary school, and my son was still at home. So until he went to nursery, I was at home with them, because we'd planned it that way. We were fortunate that we were able to do that. I know a lot of people can't. But going back to you keeping your brain in gear, that's the reason why I got involved with the PTA. That's the reason why I then got more involved in what was going on in the community. I was part of the NCT. I've got a really good group of friends. We were talking about it takes a village, didn't we? And for us mums to be able to work or do what we do, and for the children to be able to do the activities they were doing when they were little, basically there was 5 of us who had 13 children between us.
Wow.
No, 11 children between us. So, and they were off doing different things. So it worked really well. And it takes a village.
You've got a really, because it does take a village, and most people know that. We've just had a huge, crazy period for the last 2 months. And if it wasn't for my network of mums, I wouldn't be even functioning right now. So, to all the mums I know that have supported me and carried me through since I entered into my little quickie for a torn calf muscle, thank you. Really, thank you. But you've got a lovely story that, before we go back to why you were sitting on a rock when pregnant in Norway, I want to talk about, you told me the other day about this beautiful story about the community and how you were celebrating birthdays on a school field during lockdown. And that really shows off to me what a community is.
So one of my really good friends who we met when I came back from Norway, she'd just moved to Tame. 3 beautiful children. Her daughter, her son are the same age as my two, and then she's got a younger one who is my godson. Unfortunately, she lost her battle with cancer right at the beginning of lockdown, like a week into lockdown. It was absolutely horrendous for the family and all of her friends, because she was a very much loved person. And that was in the March, wasn't it? We went into lockdown. In the May, it was her 2 sons' birthday. So literally they were a week apart. So we celebrate. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't. Normally, if that would have happened, one, it was really shock. It wasn't supposed to happen at that point. But normally we would have all been round at the house. We would have been taking the kids to school. We would have been doing everything to try and keep things normal. But it wasn't a normal time, and we couldn't physically be with the family. So we had to do a virtual hug, basically. We embraced the family virtually and made sure that they were okay. And the kids were, we did Zoom calls. We walked past, because we couldn't actually see anybody, distance and all that kind of stuff on our half-an-hour walk. But the birthdays, they have a massive school field at the back of the house. And because of the group of us, we were able to stay in our family units, distanced, and celebrate both boys' birthdays. So 1 week after another, there was cake and there was bottles of beer. So each family had their own tray of muffins, because we did it separately, so there wasn't any cutting cake. And a bottle of fizz each. It was, outrageous. But we did that. And then 2 weeks after the second birthday, it was also my friend's birthday. So we celebrated that as well. And it was just really good to be able to be in that group while still maintaining the rules that we had to. It was difficult. All we wanted to do was hug each other. But all the older girls, because there's 5 or 6 of them, they were all sat in a big circle on the field, all 2 meters apart, but they were sat round and they could actually have a whole conversation because they hadn't seen each other because the schools were all shut. And it's just, I mean, our children are now like they're teens and almost teens, so they're all quite independent, so they can get themselves to school, they can cook, they can most of the activities they do now, they can get themselves to it if they need to. So I know that that's okay if anything does happen to either me or my husband, but it's always good to know that that support system is there even when they're getting older, and know that there's other mums around that if my daughter or my son doesn't talk to me, they might actually go to one of my friends.
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it? So our daughter's got a godmum who is in her 20s, and the reason for it is one, she's an amazing, beautiful, and when she listens to this, you're amazing, Emma, absolutely stunning, just the most together woman I know, and just adore her. But actually, my whole theory was she'll come and speak to you if there's a problem, and she won't speak to me, and I want that. I mean, Bee's being collected from school today. My friend's helping her because I'm still not quite active enough. And, my husband's got to go out. But it's that community that I know, although my daughter has told me that she wants to be like my friend Belinda and follow Belinda. She wants not to be like me because, Mummy, I don't really know what you do, but Belinda's a teacher and she's really cool.
Teachers are really cool. Teachers do an amazing job. I love teachers.
They really do. So before we move on to who and what has inspired you, I'd love you to share your story about being pregnant and sitting on a rock in Strovanga.
Okay, so there's this rock that is basically like that over a fjord that doesn't have any guide rails or anything. And to get up to the top of this rock, it took us about 2 hours to get up there, and it's over boulders and steep inclines and everything. So my husband was carrying my daughter in one of those backpack things because she must have been just under 2. And I was about 4 months pregnant, and none of the guys who we were working with knew that I was pregnant. So they're all like jumping off and running up the hill and everything because they didn't have families with them. And I'm going, oh my God, this is really difficult. Because I am fit, but I'm not like ultra fit. I don't go running or anything like that. And it was a really hot day for Norway, really hot. So he was carrying the daughter, but I was carrying the backpack with the picnic and the water because it was a hot day, extra water. But it was all worth it because when we got to the top, this thing, it's called Pulpit Rock. You should definitely Google it. Pulpit Rock, or Prikkestolen in Norwegian, obviously, because I do speak a little Norwegian. And it's just stunning. And you see all these little tiny people on this rock because it's massive. It's like this great big tabletop. And one of the things that you can do is actually sit on the edge, like literally sit on the edge and look down. So that's what I did when I was 4 months pregnant. And then we had to walk all the way back down again, which was almost as bad as walking all the way up again.
Did you not feel dizzy?
No, it's stunning. The scenery in Norway is stunning. And because that was the 3rd time I'd been working in Norway, and I'd never managed to get there. So we'd sort of planned it ahead. And then I found out I was pregnant and we said, shall we go? Shall we not go? I said, we're never going to do it again because we'll be gone before Luke, my son, or the baby at the time, was old enough to actually walk up there under his own steam. So we just bit the bullet and decided to go. One of our friends has actually been on a business trip to Norway since, and he went up there. He said, I can't believe you did that when you were pregnant.
So I don't think my hubby's been up there because he's gone to Norway a lot, and I mean a huge amount for work, and he's never mentioned it. So I'm going to go off here and ask him. And when I am fit, maybe we can go and do it. I just need to get a little bit fitter, but that's going to come. I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to think positively. who's inspired you?
I was thinking about this earlier, and there isn't one person that's inspired me. I think I've been, well, anybody who's a woman of my age, we've been very, very
Can I just stop you
fortunate.
there? Our age.
Sorry. All right. Our age.
Our age.
You're so much younger than me.
I think I'm a 71 baby. I don't think there's a huge difference.
Okay, a couple of years. All right. You're looking so wonderful.
Makeup. But thank you.
Yeah, so what was I saying? I can't remember.
I was asking.
Oh yeah, who's inspired me? Okay, so women of our age, we've been really, really fortunate with the women that have been in focal points during our lives. So, lover or hater, we were there when the first female prime minister was in office. We've just lost the second female prime minister, which is a bit topical, but hey, I need to find out all about that. My daughter came home and went, "Oh my god, the prime minister's resigned."
Yeah.
So I love the relationship. Apparently David Blaine was trending yesterday because apparently she's been in office as long as he was in his glass box. You know, the artist.
Yeah, I love that. I had not made that association.
Apparently that I heard on the radio yesterday that he was trending. I'm thinking, why is he trending? And they said, oh, he was in the box for 44 days, the same time as the prime minister's was in office. And I was like, was in office? Because I'd been in meetings all day yesterday. I didn't hear anything about it. So yeah, I that was a bit weird. It's all about social media, isn't it? It's all about that. So yes, the Margaret Thatcher, lover or hater, very, very influential woman. The Queen, obviously, amazing, working as well as raising a family. I know she had a lot of help. Don't get me wrong. It takes a village.
She still did it.
She's running the country. It's a bit bigger than me going out to work every day.
Yep.
And also my grandmothers, I was quite young when my dad's mum died, but they both lost their husbands really, really early on. They had very, very, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, had 3 children and her husband died when my mum was 3. And my paternal grandmother, there was just my dad, and his dad died when he was 4. So they brought their children up single-handed and went out to work. So I knew that they'd done that. So I think it sort of instills in you a work ethic. And along with my parents, my mum left school because she had to go out to work to help with my grandma. And but she went back to school. So when I was doing my O-levels, my mum had gone back to high school in the evening to do her English O-level in computing, because she wanted to actually prove to herself that she could do it. She was doing a really good job. She was in charge of all of the domestics in the whole of the Fylde Coast, in all the hospitals, when they used to have cleaners in-house and the hospitals were spick and span. She was in charge of all that. So, I mean, she's quite an amazing woman. Well, she is amazing. She's my mum. She's amazing. But lots and lots of influential women, very strong women I've been surrounded by, and always known that whatever I could do, whatever I wanted to do, I would have the backup. That if I wanted to do it, I would know that the support was there. My husband is amazing. He makes me do things that I don't think I can do. So yeah. And it's really good because he pushes my boundaries, which means that I push my daughter's boundaries, because sometimes she has confidence issues when it comes to physical stuff. Schoolwork and stuff, she's amazing. But physical stuff like riding a bike and doing sport and things like that, she's not really, she takes after me, whereas my son and my husband are really, really sporty and athletic. So if she sees me pushing my boundaries, then she pushes her boundaries too. And I understand where she's coming from. So he inspires me to actually go out and make the best of me.
I love that. It's interesting what you were just talking about there, because people forget, because we are women of a certain age, okay. And of course, National Menopause Day this week, and we can't hide away from that, because it does change the way we think. It does impact It doesn't just impact on us, it has an impact on the family and the husband and everything.
Absolutely.
People don't talk about it, you know. I'm not going to go down a rant on it, but, you know, menopause isn't just about us women, it is also about the fallout, because it's our hormones.
Yeah, we've actually, very topically, we have done a whole range of policies with regards to menopause and HR, not HRT, well, yeah, HRT and periods and PMT and all that kind of stuff. We've got a whole raft of policies that we've actually written because we know we're actually living the dream. We do forget our words. I'm surprised I've actually not forgotten a few words during this, because normally I'm like, I can't remember words. It really annoys me. They fall out of my head.
Seriously, I did that in a meeting this week. I know my client's name, and I'm sitting in a meeting, and I literally went, whoa. And I had to look at this young guy who's in his 20s and go, I'm really sorry. And that was total menopause. Thankfully, he was really supportive. But it was that thing of going, this is actually embarrassing.
Yeah, and if they don't understand where you're coming from, it's really difficult. I'm really lucky. When I first started, my husband turned around to me and went, can you go and make an appointment at the doctor's? I promptly burst into tears and went, I've got an appointment tomorrow. Ran out of the room, and then he followed me and went, I'm really sorry, but we really need to do something. You keep shouting at me, you keep shouting at the kids, and it's obvious that it's not you. I want my wife back, which is really, really, really sweet, and great that he could actually say that to me and know that I would take action. I hadn't told him I got an appointment, but I was obviously feeling the same. So they suggested exercise and diet. I went and I said, no, just give me the drugs. It's fine.
Wow. So mine was, I was rocking my daughter to bed because she was only 9 months old, my gift to motherhood. And I was rocking her to bed, and I was literally stripping my clothes off to try and get her to bed, and coming out the room, and my husband was going, didn't you go in wearing clothes? I was like, yeah, kind of, it's too hot. So thank you for sharing that. What I was going to just quickly touch on was that my dad, and we don't talk about it very often because we are women of a certain age, my dad stopped school at 14. He went out to work at 14 years old. And for some reason, it's become normal that obviously people go to university, they stay at college, they get vocational training, whatever they want to do. The government changed the rules. You stay in school till you're 18 or 19 and blah, and so it goes on. But actually, our parents' generation, a lot of them stopped working at 14. And I just think, really, really incredible. We've had some lovely comments. I love, so Luke Steele's one of my best friends. I love him. He said, he's told us to get a room. Well, you know.
No, it's all about the love, Luke. It's all about the love, supporting each other.
I was just going to turn that back to Luke and say, what does it say about you, Luke? So Luke says, I always like when people find inspiration when people around them. So many look at influences. Oh, yes. So many look at influences, etc. But the truth is, your biggest inspiration can be right under your nose. I totally and utterly agree. My granny, she packed parachutes in the war. Wow. My other granny worked her fingers to the bone making clothes in her living room for people to bring extra money in to support the family. Yeah. Yes, 100%.
My mum rolled rock. My mum rolled Blackpool rock when I wasn't in school. I used to sit on the end of the bench when you could take kids to school. So I was like 3 or 4 and sit on the end of the bench while my mum was rolling Blackpool rock. I grew up in Blackpool.
Well, we were just talking about Blackpool before we came on air, because 31 years ago, I started rehearsing 42nd Street at the Winter Garden. So we were just talking. Blackpool's really important. Of course, that's where you're from. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Blackpool
Brilliant.
And bread.
I love it. Right. So Jenny, thank you for joining us, Dr. Jenny. I love you. I really do. She's just said she agrees with Luke. Loving this conversation. Parachute packing granny. Yeah, seriously. There's a whole conversation on there about my grandparents. Absolutely inspirational. Parents to 6 kids. Lost one in their when he was in his 20s. Still kept the family together. And my granny was a matriarch. If she said we all did. So this is where we get I know, this way you get to turn the conversation around, because I've been throwing questions at you and you get to throw something at me. And I get to hope that I don't make a fool of myself when I answer it.
What can I ask you? Okay, so how did you get into acting?
Oh, that's actually, do you know, no one's ever asked that. So because I was born mute, no one's ever asked that. So I was born mute. Well, not mute, that's the wrong phrase. I was born with a massive speech impediment. So I had a hole at the base of the nasal pharynx, and they had to do an operation when I was about 4.5. And I hated speech therapy. I absolutely hated it. And my mum was looking for another route. What can we do? And Lorna McGrath, who, again, amazing woman, inspirational, spoken to her about her before. She ran the Grove School of Dance and Drama, and she said to my mum, well, she's too young for drama, but I'll take her on. And I've been going to dance classes anyway because I could feel the beat and I could feel that rhythm, and I could communicate through music. And drama, wow, it just opened up a complete new world for me. I was performing in the local dance show that Lorna had choreographed along with Miss Gwen, and an agent came along, and I was 6. I think I was 6, picked me up, and then I started auditioning. I got my first advert when I was about 8.
Wow.
I was 7, but it came out when I was 8, and that was Heinz baked beans. And yes, you can still see it. It was shown in the Daily Mail recently, which made me giggle. And it's just, I know. And then through there, I just did more and more. And then I got to arts, so arts educational, and had to stop all acting because we were serious performers. And the reason I'm a little bit not moving as well as I should is because of the amount of dance training I did. And then I graduated at 19 and got my first professional adult gig, which was 42nd Street, at the age of 20. And that started today. So it's this whole thing. And then I hung up my dancing shoes because I didn't want to be crippled by the time I was 50. And I went into straight acting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love, to me, my biggest love would always be acting. But, and I do put a but in there, and I know that negates everything, I wasn't making enough money to survive. I couldn't buy a house. And one day I just looked and went, I don't want to be in the Actors Benevolent Fund. And that's why I do what I do today, because I decided I don't want to be reliant on equity paying for my retirement. I want to bloody do it myself. Oh, I nearly swore. I want to do it myself. So there you go. That's my story.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. I obviously hadn't asked you that. We were concentrating on the near past, weren't we, rather than the past.
I couldn't do what I do now. So I look at my life, and I honestly, I am so grateful, because the years I spent at dealing, the years I spent at Samsung and Hanwha, the years I spent at retail profiling, the years I spent at Intel as a sales trainer, all of those things get me to do what I do today. So I genuinely love my life journey. And of course, the biggest thing for me was meeting my beautiful Dennis, and that's me. I love Dennis. Anyone who Luke's met Dennis, he knows he's a good guy. He's the best guy. So yeah,
I think we're both there. Yeah, I'm completely with you. People say, "Oh, is there anything that you regret in your life?" I'm like, no, I've got no regrets, because if things hadn't have happened, and things have happened to me over the years, if things hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I've taken on all the experience of all the different jobs I've got, because it took me a while to get actually full-time into HR. And it's all about that journey, and all about taking little bits from different places and using them today. I even use my degree sometimes. What's all that about?
Well, this is probably why, and I'm going to wrap it up now, but this is probably why when we met, we saw a kindred spirit, because I don't get nervous very often. I'm that big old I can handle anything. But actually walking into a room full of women is my worst nightmare, because I'm really great, because I've always worked in male-dominated environments. So I was comfortable in a room full of men, but a room full of women, I was scared. I was really like, ooh.
Scary creatures. We are scary creatures when we get together.
Actually, we're not. It's just, I think we can put up our spikes and our protection, because we have to, and we've learnt to. But actually, once we scratch the surface and we take that protection off, it's the best in the world because we support each other. And when we can bring men in to that as well, wow.
There must be a term for a collection of women, mustn't there? There must be.
I'm going to Google it after this.
A chatter of women or something.
It's nice. So there's a place called the Witterings, and the Witterings is something about a Wittering. It's named after Wittering women or something. I probably got that wrong, but there's something about a witter of women. Anyway, on that note, thank you so much. I've thoroughly loved this conversation.
I've loved it too. Thank you so much, Kirsty. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care.
And you.